Hey, welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you. You know, we're like less than a month away from the NBA trade deadline. January is just flying by. It's going nutty. But the trade deadline is February 8th, so it's less than a month away. And there are a lot of, I felt over this past week, there's been a lot of Heat buzz around the deadline. Not necessarily for the Orcas or the Whales, but even just nice little moves, little improvements, because people look at the Heat and they look at some of the contracts that they could trade, namely the Kyle Lowry expiring deal, and they think there's a move to be made there. There's a move to be made for the Miami Heat to go and improve some things around their roster. I think that it was interesting seeing yesterday, no Kyle Lowry, no Jimmy, obviously, as well, but it was interesting to hear Tyler after the game. What game was that? It was at the Rockets game. And he was asked about this, the idea that if Kyle Lowry is going to miss some time with this finger injury, that will they be okay? And he, jokingly, tongue-in-cheekly kind of said, well, I'm kind of the point guard already anyway.
I mean, I feel like, I don't want to say this the wrong way, but I feel like I'm the point guard when Kyle's in the game too. Like, I dribble the ball just as much as when he's in the game. And that's not like an indictment on anybody. That's just how we play. We have a bunch of ball handlers and guys that can create. So I wouldn't just say we have one point guard like you said.
Which is like Tyler Hero. This is one of the things I think everybody did. I talked about this after the game where you're not necessarily seeing the shot diet change too much from Tyler this year. But one thing that you have definitely seen is being quicker with decisions with the basketball, especially when setting up his teammates. He's always been very good at having that chemistry of Bam kind of rolling, getting downhill, and throwing up the lobs to Bam or their two-man game together. But I think finding everybody else, finding other shooters, you've definitely seen some growth there from Tyler. And I think this is one of those trade deadlines. I don't think Tyler's necessarily going to be involved. I don't think this is going to be one of those things where even if Spida Mitchell is mentioned, I don't think Tyler's going to be kind of hitting, in the breeze here, because I don't think the Heat are looking to get rid of Tyler Hero right now. I think that was, the play they were going to go in the summer. I don't think that's the way they're going to go now. But some of the names that you've heard, Terry Rozier has been kind of popping all over the place. I think Zach Lowe is one of the guys who really burned that furnace. That it'll be interesting. I would guarantee Terry Rozier scores at least 25 points, maybe 30 this upcoming Sunday against the Heat, just to flirt with Riles a little bit. Interesting. Makes about 24 a year. Going to be 30 this year, but certainly can get hot. Has been in playoff series. Very, very dangerous player when he gets going. So could, add an element. It's not the sexiest, I think, bona fide scorer that you would think or go to in that regard with this club, but would make some sense. You got to think that the Hornets are open for business. I think the other team that is getting some attention is the Atlanta Hawks. And this was an interesting rumor that had come out today. And it's regarding DeJounte Murray from the Atlanta Hawks. And it's from Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports. And here's what it says on DeJounte Murray. Murray has generated substantial market during the preliminary conversations around the league. The Hawks have been considered one of the more aggressive front offices this season, sources said, in terms of teams that have been willing to approach rival executives with actual trade concepts as opposed to general interest in specific players. At this juncture, to varying degrees, the Lakers, Knicks, Sixers, Pistons, and Heat are 5 suitors expected to engage Atlanta about acquiring Murray in the coming days before the weeks of February 8th. Jake also writes, Miami's left rival teams with the impression that the reigning Eastern Conference champions are looking for ball-handling reinforcements. The Heat are another suitor to keep an eye out for Murray, although there hasn't been anything substantive beyond initial talks between Atlanta and Miami at this point, sources said. But there have been talks. There have been talks about DeJounte Murray, who I would say this. Like, the thing with DeJounte Murray feels so much like a Spo guy, right? Like, guy's been an all-star, 6'5", giant-ass wingspan, just will do all the marginal stuff, can rebound for his size, obviously really great. Has never been like is usually like a 21 point a game guy, not like a crazed 26, 27 point a game type of shooter that I think everybody's expecting the interest to be there for the Heat. He's never really been that, but man, for his size, I mean, the guy has been a triple-double threat in his career. His all-star season in San Antonio, over 21 points a game, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists with 2 steals a game. The guy just seems to have an ability to put stats up all over the place. And Spo loves guys like that. He loves guys like that. I could see him just gushing over a guy like DeJounte Murray being on his team. Hasn't worked out with Trae Young, obviously. And it's taken even more of a step back this year, which has left them in this position that they're in. And so, yeah, I don't hate it. I like DeJounte Murray as a player. Has had a good shooting year for his career, shooting a career high from 3 because he's shooting 6 from downtown and is almost shooting 40% from 3. So he's having a really, really good year from downtown. Is, I think, a nice plug right next to Tyler. It's got the feel of, you would say, oh, well, it hasn't worked with Trae Young. Like, no, but Tyler's not going to, for everything I want to say about Tyler, like, Tyler's not going to do the Trae Young thing where, like, he's going to demand to get his shots from, 35 feet away and do something radical. Like, Tyler's going to play within the system. Tyler is going to do that. There'll be nights where, obviously he's feeling it and Tyler's not shy to shoot, but I don't think Tyler takes boneheaded shots last night, notwithstanding at the end of that game. I just think that he's just got the ultra green light. I think it would be a fun fit. Now, the question is, what do you give up if you're the Miami Heat, right? If you were going to do this, and this is, I think, where a lot of Heat fans, including myself, are not into doing this, is what is the sweetener with the Kyle Lowry deal to make this happen, right? Because the salaries aren't quite a match. His extension doesn't hit till next year, so he's making 18 on the books this year. So there'd have to be somebody else coming back. But Kyle Lowry being the bulk of the money. Or you could do, I guess, Duncan Robinson technically. And if they wanted to do something like that, like add, go back to the days of having like Trae Young with like a Kevin Huerter, you have Trae Young with Duncan Robinson, something like that. Maybe they don't hate that. I don't know. But let's just say for now, it's Kyle. Knowing that doesn't make basketball sense too much. It's more of a clear the books for Atlanta. Knowing they'll probably buy Kyle Lowry out. Knowing they're probably going to tank the rest of the year. And then free up some money so they can get Trae some different pieces around him, right? So let's put either piece of the pie that you want to, Duncan or Kyle, in there, whatever makes the salary work. What is the sweetener that gets it done? Are he going to want to trade a couple of first-round picks for him? What did he go for? I feel like he went for 3 first-round picks when he got traded to Atlanta. So they gave up an absolute haul. I think a lot of people respected that Hawks team that has always seemed like it's had a lot of good names and talent. They just never could quite put it together, other than, of course, the play-in tournament against the Miami Heat last year. So I could totally see the Heat being in on a move like this just based on the player. The player seems to make a lot of sense for Erik Spoelstra, for the roster. Just a much more accomplished, I think. If they remember when they're going to go in the direction possibly of maybe starting Jay Rich at point guard, I think of DeJounte Murray almost like a souped up Jay Rich, is just, better. Like, has a lot, like Jay Rich has a lot of his qualities, but DeJounte's just been a better player in his career. And so if you're going to go with that pairing with Tyler Hero in the backcourt, I can see it. So getting back to it, would the Heat go multiple first-round picks? Would they want to do that? Would the Heat fan be okay with that? To be that this is the guy? Because what it does is if Spida becomes available or some other Orca becomes available, you don't have the treasure trove of picks to give, which the Heat are finally like getting to reinforce all that stuff soon. Or based on developments over the last couple days, would Atlanta be willing for, now I'm sure they would ask for both for DeJounte Murray, but let's say one, Jovic or Jaquez. Would the Heat fan be interested in that? And I say that, guys, because it's like, you're going to be like, they're not going to want to take on money from Tyler Hero if they're going to go hit the reset button. So that's why you got to go with like one of the two young guys. And would you be into doing that? I don't think I can. Not for DeJounte Murray. Not for DeJounte Murray. I like the player. I would even say I really like the player. I don't love the player enough to give up Jaime and Jovic. That's me. That's old Tobes. That's just me right now. You know? That's where I'm at when it comes to that. But I definitely understand the appeal. But would the Heat be willing to part with one of their two young cheap studs for a DeJounte Murray? I don't know. And if they were, which one? I would have to guess Jovic is the guy they'd be more willing to, because they just seem all in on Jaime. And Jaime's just been tremendous. The guy has been, the best rookie in the conference, has been one of the best rookies in the league this year. Whereas with Jovic, it is a development. It's looking really good right now, though. You know me. I am all in on Nico. But if I had to guess, like, which one would the Heat be willing to part with more, I would guess him. But man, 6'10", 20, does it all. Why am I sounding like Vince McMahon? Anyway, so interesting. The rumors are rumbling out there that we got some action. It seems like this trade deadline.